We shouldn't have to walk in fear, and we believe that the management should have evicted this person a long time ago.
Renters in South Portland say somebody's throwing explosives from a high-rise. They tell us the most recent incident was Friday night, the eruption happening on a busy walkway. K2's Genevieve Rayom is live for us in South Portland. So Genevieve, there are actually some remnants of the incident still right behind you on that path.
Yeah, Deb, actually on the neighboring building. Now, just after my 4 o'clock live shot, I talked with a woman who works at a restaurant nearby, and she pointed out that orange-red splatter behind me. She says that is a part of the explosive. She told me dozens of kids were streaming into the Ardea before it happened. We did reach out to the Ardea management, but never got a call back. We're learning an eviction is underway, but neighbors say it's not happening quickly enough, and there's potentially a legal backing to that claim.
I'm afraid to walk through here. We walk a dog, and so I go out and go underground and go through a back entrance, and kind of like I'm trying to sneak into my own apartment.
Matt Bullich has completely changed his dog walking route simply to avoid this popular pathway beneath his high-rise apartment building.
It's terrifying, and we just don't know what to do.
The Ardea towers over South Portland, where neighbors now worry what's going to fall from a unit about halfway up.
They cannot walk because they're in fear of fireworks and explosives coming down.
Mark Julius says someone's thrown explosives down onto the pathway multiple times. He says they're M80s, which are illegal unless you have a certain license or permit. The ATF notes those can damage hands and eyes.
One of them landed here. You can see the impact point down here.
Mark says the most recent incident happened Friday night when lots of people were out and about. He says he talked with police, but PPV tells me because no one was hurt, there's likely not going to be an investigation into what happened and what exactly the explosive was.
It literally explodes in front of my window.
Mila Ortiz says she lives a few floors beneath the problem unit.
We have our blinds down all day long because you think if it explodes, you're not sure if your windows are going to break.
These neighbors have gone to management and say they're told an eviction is in the works, but they worry it's taking too long.
If the person's being evicted, then they have no more carrot on a stick. And so we're worried it's going to escalate if it's not taken care of quickly.
I looked into Oregon law to see what allows a 24-hour eviction. According to this statute, someone can be kicked out in one day if what they're doing threatens or actually inflicts substantial personal injury to someone. Additionally, if the tenant recklessly endangers someone, creating a serious risk of substantial personal injury, they too can get the boot.
We've heard everything from bloody screams to gunshots right behind our house here.
Alan Cora's experience is so painfully familiar, you'd think he was reading from a script.
When you wait 45 minutes on the non-emergency number, you get tired of spending your day waiting for somebody to answer the phones.
He's lived in the same home in North Portland for 33 years. He says it used to be a quiet, safe neighborhood until about 3 years ago.
You can see there's numerous tents here right now.
When the homeless camp along the Peninsula Crossing Trail began growing.
It's been a nightmare for us here, and they roar up and down the road there all hours of the day and night. Right now it's quiet because of the Jersey barriers that are going in and the gates.
Cora and his wife were so happy to see these boulders, blocks, and gates, she told us she hugged the workers installing them. The city's Street Services Coordination Center tells K2 keeping vehicles off the trail is the first step in the push to clean up and clear this camp, where neighbors have complained about cars speeding through and doing damage for years. It happened right in front of our camera in January, twice.
We have built that's one good example of what goes on in our street.
The problem was so bad, Commissioner Dan Ryan talked about it during a city council work session after seeing it in person.
We stood there going, wow, I live in Portland, Oregon, and this is happening right now. And there's nothing about this that's legal, like nothing about this that's legal.
The gate is impressive. We'll see whether it gets cut or not.
Tom Karwacki is hoping for the best, but he knows this is just a small piece of a very complicated puzzle. As the secretary and land use chair of the University Park Neighborhood Association, he has a big, seemingly impossible job on his hands. Mediate as the city prepares to turn this property into a safe rest village. Are you happy with how this is going?
Yes, I think so in general. There's always issues when you're doing a development and plans change.
Karwacki says he tries to keep his neighbors updated on those plans. Last week, he told them North Syracuse was chosen as the access point for the Safe Rest Village and that the Belmont goats will be moved farther south. They'll live in the shade around this heritage tree, which will be fenced off and protected from further damage. Karwacki says there's still some pushback, but most agree a Safe Rest Village is the best option.
The neighborhood really does want to have this happen. It provides dignity and services to those people who really need it.
People like TT Sanchez, who's been camping here off and on for 2 years. She says outreach workers have offered her water and supplies, but no help to get her out of her tent and into something more permanent.
You live out here for a week, and you tell me how many people come out here and ask you, do you want housing? And how can they help you with housing? And then you let me know. Because I can tell you, it's been this week, not one. Last week, not one. Week before that, not one.
Sanchez told us she first heard about the Safe Rest Village on the radio. Then a housed neighbor gave her more information.
They said we have to be on a waiting list. We have to go through this procedure and all that. I'm like, are you serious? We've been here for way longer. We've been here for 5 years plus, and we still have to be on a waiting list? That's ridiculous. If you're going to put a village here, it should go to the people that's already here.
We reached out to Commissioner Dan Ryan's office. A spokesperson told us navigation teams have visited the camp many times since the location was announced, offering shelter and resources. They've met with campers to hear their concerns and talk about the Safe Rest Village. He also told us this map that's now circulating through the neighborhood is not a final draft of the site's footprint, and they're still working on the details, including a start and completion date. At this point, the Joint Office of Homeless Services hasn't even announced a shelter operator.
North Portland gets all the bad stuff that nobody else wants. Well, put them someplace else. Yeah.
Whatever the plan, it won't win over Alan Cora. He has a list of worries that now includes goats too close to his home and satellite campers surrounding his property.
We haven't been able to get very much enforcement out here at all now. So who's going to enforce somebody moving in 50 feet away from the front gate of the Safe Rest Village?
So you'll believe it when you see it?
I'd just as soon not see it, if you want to know the truth. Just as soon not see it. Put it someplace else.
Democrat candidate Marie Gluesenkamp Perez holds the #1 spot over incumbent Jamie Herrera Beutler. Remember, the top two candidates, no matter the party, move on to the November election. The top two say they're completely focused on local issues. Beutler says she's a candidate who's willing to fight for Southwest Washington and not be a national party symbol. She was one of the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Trump. And Perez says she's running to be a voice for the working class, for people struggling running small businesses and taking care of kids.
I was so encouraged to hear from people of all political stripes, hardcore Republicans, Democrats, and independents saying they were going to support me primarily because of the local work I do. And I think that seems to be what is the louder message coming out of this vote.
We have to talk to the whole district. You can't just focus on your own partisanship. And I think that that's something that is missing in American politics today. And I feel fortunate that I'm able to just be who I am with voters and not have to tack really hard one way or the other.
And we also went to candidate Joe Kent's watch party tonight and reached out to Heidi St. John's campaign team. They're currently in 3rd and 4th place.